Hi, guys. It is, what is it, Thursday? I think it's Thursday. Um, Thursday afternoon right now. It's been cloudy or foggy. It's, what is it, about almost 1 o'clock. Well, between 12:30 and 1, because all the high school kids are going to McDonald's. Um, but interesting stuff. Today, on the weather alert that I got, it said by next Friday, there's 20 to 30 inches of snow coming or something to that effect. So, of snow. It feels like snow. It's only 58 degrees right now. It's not, you can feel the chill in the air. Plus, the fog was so low and thick this morning that by now, well, right now, I don't know if you can, how well you can see it out there, but it looks like it's just right at the top of the treetops. Probably can't see it. I probably didn't do a very good job at that. But yeah, it's kind of like up just past the treetops or just above, because you can't really see the cloud cover either as well. Because all you see is just like this fog, which gives off this gray effect. Which, speaking of gray effect, that's what my phone looks like. And then yesterday, when I took the videos of myself coming out of the bathroom and realizing that the lighting in the hallway is like this golden yellowish color. I think you can kind of see it in one of my videos when I turned the phone and looked that way. You can see the color of the lights, which I don't notice the color of the lights when I'm in there. I never noticed it until I was looking through the phone. And I was like, oh, what a trip. I mean, because I can look at it and kind of see that it's kind of a different color, but not the drastic yellow that we seen, or the golden yellow, I should say, that we seen yesterday. Because when I see my skin, I was just like, oh. Compared to what this phone gives off on just taking a video this way. But anyway, they're all eating ice cream cones. And it's 58 degrees. Normal, right? Anyway, I want to look over here, see if there's anything new. I'm sure there is. Yeah, I'm smoking a cigarette because I just got some coffee. I'm gonna get motivated, go in and make my protein drink for lunch, and wash some dishes, sweep mop the floor, all that good stuff. Kind of get ready for the autumn, fall, going into winter kind of mood. There's something else I want to tell you. I think it's about iPetGo 2. I can't quite remember it right now. I know it was important. Oh, that's another thing. Can you hear it? There's a lot of military helicopters going over my house back and forth. Of course, I'm in southwest, so they're coming from the southwest and going northeast direction. So it's kind of interesting. I started noticing them a couple of days ago. I think in one of my videos yesterday, you can hear it. But again, it's kind of like one of those things where it was like the train that constantly goes right over here. I kind of don't really pay attention to it until I hear it in the videos or something. I'm just like, oh, I didn't even really recognize me hearing that when I was sitting there making the video. Or even at night, laying down and sleeping. Sometimes the only time they really wakes me up in the middle of the night around midnight, or well, I'm usually awake by midnight, but later in the night, or even like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, is that the guy going across, how they honk the horn when they cross over the intersection. There's an intersection over there. And it's like he lays on the horn. Usually they'll do it about 4 times, right? Beep, 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 beep. But sometimes they'll get some guy in there and he'll just be like, pull down on the lever and it's going, honk. Then he'll let up and he'll go, honk. I mean, just goes on forever. And you're like, my goodness, what is he new? But everybody's got a job to do, right? Safety first. Who knows? Maybe there's a lot of homeless that are, because I know a lot of homeless hang around the trucks too. And that's probably scary for them, hope, try not to run them over or whatever. Or people trying to run through the intersection before the train gets there. But anyway, I just wanted to get on here and chat and try to remember what I was trying to wanted to relay about the iPad Go 2, besides the symbolism that's unfolding. Haven't heard any comments, so I can only imagine what everybody's thinking and feeling, because I'd be skeptical myself. I'm already just skeptical, not skeptical, but was skeptical at first. It's just like somebody left a comment a long time ago, because how I was saying my life is like my past life. I feel that I was Daniel, because when I read Daniel, I get so emotional. It's the only book in the whole Bible that I actually feel like it's part of me. And then parts of Daniel were coming out in my visions with God, like chapter 10, when Daniel ended up at God's feet. That type of thing, in the brass feet. And then when God touched Daniel, and that's so interesting in that verse too, because Daniel, after God touches Daniel goes something to the effect that he doesn't know how to react because he's straight. And no one ever talks about that. The pastors and nobody ever talks about it, because he's straight. Now remember, in my vision, I went through the same thing in chapter 10. That's what even made me more clued in that I'm Daniel. I was Daniel in my past life. Is that because everything repeats itself, right? And I was like thinking, well, he's, because he didn't know how to respond, because I'm straight. And remember how, I just put it out this morning. I didn't make a video about it, but I put some comments out this morning on Facebook about, the greatest thing about man, the biggest lie is, and Jesus told us, seek out the clues, or find the clues, seek out the mystery. That's what it is. Find the clues. So you got to find the clues in the book and seek out the mystery. So if you look at humanity from past to present day, man is always denied his female side. Even they don't even talk about it on the world stage. You're a man, right? Which is not true, because remember, as I've told you and showed you before, my right side is the Y chromosome, which is a male chromosome, and my left side is my X chromosome. And remember, the first 12 weeks, I'm born, we all are born in our mother's womb in the water world. Oh, that's it. Of the water world. And the first 12 weeks, it's a golden ratio. So that's in Greek, the 21st letter, where it's a circle and it's got this line that comes down. So it looks like kind of like a lollipop. And so it's the golden ratio. So it's like, it's a circle of our head and going straight down. Remember, on the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a part ridge in a pear tree. This is the Milky Way, the holy zone. The dragon, the reptilian, the fire, right? The heart, fire, our core, our abdomen, our brain, the pineal gland, pituitary, and third eye. So it's all straight down our nose. Nostradamus. Nostradamus. Right? It's pretty cool. So it's the 12th week that the SRY chromosome either kicks in if it's going to be a boy or a girl. So remember in Egyptian art, they showed this woman like the dome. She's the mother, right? So she's standing up and she's like making this dome over Earth. And then down below it is father laying on the ground, looking up, admiring mother, right? So father's down here on the land because he made us as clay. Father has XY chromosome. Now, females have XX. So, man is always denied half of his 72,000 X female chromosomes, right? It's the ego side. It's kind of like interesting, right? The woman has a double ego. But the female, because remember, God cloned Eve out of Adam's left rib cage. And it's like people have this, they go, oh, Eve was created out of Adam's left rib cage. Yes, that's right. Instead of, it's like they have this mentality that Eve or the X chromosome has been removed completely out of Adam to where all he is man, Y chromosome, and has no more X chromosome. It's like they've taken it out of Adam and just give it away, but it's not true. That's not how it works. You can't take the X chromosome out. It's the foundation. That's why men have nipples. It's because the first 12 weeks we're born female in a golden ratio in a water world. So when we look at the Egyptian art, they have mother like standing up in the dome over us, and they have father laying underneath of her. Now it's quite interesting because it's like if you look at that picture, her belly is us. We are the water world. So we're in the belly of mother right now. So when we're born into this world, we're created in our mother's water world, and then we're kicked out onto the air, the land. But now now we're biblical, right? Because the unbiblical cord's cut. Now we're biblical. So now we're in mother's womb, right? And this is where the ones that are in Christ are going to birth out of mother into another new world, another dimension, right? When I seen that, because I was trying to show somebody how, the relationship that God is a giant. God's not our height. God's not, something that, you carve and make a little wooden thing and has all the power. And God is this giant. And it even shows in the Egyptian art where there's this big giant and all these little people are us, right? And if you look at man's usually about 6 foot. And 6 is letter Z. Z is weapon, the bolt. And 6 is like, 666. But just kind of interesting. And remember, if you take the 666 and turn it upside down, you got 999. But anyway, I just want to put out there because when we look at the world today, the present day, so in the past, man up, man up, man up, man up. Well, there's no female about you, right? Well, yes, there is. 72,000 chromosomes of your X chromosome is still there. And then 72,000 of your Y chromosome. 72,000 is 144,000. The elect. And even if we take the female, the 2 X genes, 72,000 is 144,000. But the whole thing is people have got to look at it. They've got to understand it. They got to see their relationship with God. They got to figure out the reality that they're in. They got to see the signs that God's given out on their body. If God's given them signs, and I know he's given signs out because I went on Grindr the other day, and a lot of guys show their chest, right? Well, it's quite interesting because, after me discovering all the signs and the images that are on my chest and I'm sharing with you guys, some of you guys can see them, some of you can't see them. And I've figured out how come some of the people who can't see them is because they don't have the third eye open. Remember, this is the compass. It's like the two regular eyes, and the third eye is like having a, remember the Monopoly guy that has the third eye, the third lens, the magnifying lens? That's representing the magnifying lens. And a doorway as well. But it's so the biggest lie, seeking out the mystery. The mystery is that man is bisexual. He has male and female in him. Bi bull, right? Two witnesses, the male and female. So my male and female side, my positive and negative energy is considered male and female, through electricity and physics wise. So if we can't get our brain to think other than what is written, and then that's another question I put out online, do you guys even know what a parable is? Because people just read it word for word, right? And Jesus writes in parables because it's a story with a deeper meaning. It's like I wouldn't have known this if I didn't take this these reading classes in college. These what do you call it? Writing classes too. It was the writing classes that woke me up because we were reading these stories, and I was doing reports on them from what I was reading that they were saying, and I was understanding what was being written. I got a D. He didn't want to give me an F, so he gave me a D. And I'm not the only one in class because we were all trained to do a book report, right? Do a book report. Review the book, and what do you think about it? Well, that's not the case in this. In the book, that in this writing class and how it's written in the world, is that these writings, these parables, are written out to where there's a deeper meaning or a story behind it. To be able to describe it. So, through another lens, that's a good one. That just popped in my mind. Through another lens. Okay, anyway, I'm going to kind of stalling and going in there and doing some work. Oh, but anyway, so I was looking at, other guys' chest. And it's so interesting because there's a lot of images coming out on, the people that I'm not gonna. It wasn't every one of them. There was probably like about 3 or 4 of them that I seen, that ones that did expose their chest or showed their chest. But I'm like zooming in, and you can see these big human faces on their chest. It's even designed in their chest hair, like the hair on my face. The darker. Remember, I was telling you how dark my hair is. And it's getting darker on my face. It's like this, you can see these images and stuff. That's how it was on their chest. And I'm like thinking, if I text them, if I wrote them a message and said, hey, do you know you got an image on your face? They'd probably think I was crazy. But for me, on my journey, it makes me feel good that God is marking people. He's marking them all over the place. They just can't see it. Okay, there's my phone's doing some weird stuff here. So I'm going to go. Hope you guys have a fabulous day. Hope you guys enjoyed it. But yeah, keep your eye open for these signs. Again, when they say in scripture about God gives us signs, right? I'll pour out my spirit unto you. Now, going back to Daniel, when Daniel tells God, I'm straight. Well, it's because in my vision and dream, God, when he pulled me into me, he kissed me. I mean, he was touching my lips. He kissed me. And that's when I lit up. And I told you, I was just like, oh my God, I just melted in his arms and just laid there. I was just so in love. But I was lit up like this golden yellow. And I was so fascinated with that. But at the end of it, certain body fluids of my privates, I was so excited and so juiced up that they just released. I didn't even feel it coming on. I didn't even know. I had no sensation down there. I had no idea that that was going to happen. So I don't want anybody out there getting into this, wrong thing or perversion or whatever, because what I want to share with you is that it was energy. It was like chi energy. Have you ever had a very orgasmic experience with somebody that, either you lusted after, or somebody that, that you're in love with or whatever? That bonding, that closeness, that moment with them, and your chi energy is just so lifted up, and sometimes it just releases before you can get anywhere. It's just that energy of being together and attraction and touching that brings up this energy in your body to where you don't have to be, like for me, hard, right? That would be the word to use. Hopefully that's clean. Yeah. So again, it's one of those things where it's an energy wise, when I said, like the other day, because it was really hard for me to describe it but then I was like thinking about Daniel. I'm like, well, that's a perfect example of, for people to understand when Daniel tells God, he goes, like he doesn't know what to do. He goes, because I'm straight. Then, the Lord through the rest of the chapters, my beloved, oh, Daniel, my beloved, right? Stay with at the end of chapter 10, he says, stay with your prince. Yeah, stay with your prince Michael. And see, we're all used to calling Michael Archangel Michael, right? But at the end of chapter 10 of the book of Daniel, after the Lord kisses him, he tells Daniel to stay in his lot with his prince Michael. So I think that's really quite interesting. And, and then earlier before that vision, I think it was May, at that time, I woke up in this bathtub, this marble room. This bathtub was overflowing. I had the water faucet on the side. I was facing like this, totally naked. I wake up, right? And it's like a lion's head with the water coming out of its mouth. There's no faucets to shut it off, and this water is just overflowing down, like, because I had to walk, somehow there's a stairway down, so it's about a floor down, but the water's just rolling out of it. And I'm like looking at my feet, and I'm splashing, everything a little kid would do. And this is what I've noticed about me in my visions and dreams, and how I acted and reacted. Even though I had the same body and everything, I'm just like, wow, this is cool. And I'm looking around, and then I started looking for a towel rack, and I'm like, there's no towel rack. And then I look down, and I can see this bright light beaming through the door hinges. I'm like, oh no, there must be a lamp on the floor. I can get electrocuted. So I look over to the lion's face, and I can't shut the water off because there's no something like, oh, I better get out of the water, right? But before I got out of the water, I was soaking in a little bit, kind of playing a little bit. So I get out, and I'm walking down the marble stairs. Everything is this blue marble, the bathtub, the walls, the stairs. And so I'm grabbing alongside the walls, bracing myself to go down because I'm afraid I'm going to slip. So I'm conscious during this whole thing. And I get down to the bottom, right? It's like a solid, where the bathtub was on top. It's just like this solid marble wall with the water flowing down. And it was going down, and it was like going down and going underneath the doorway. And I'm facing the doorway, and I'm like, if I touch the door handle, I wonder if I'll get shocked. And so I touch it really quick. You touch the door handle really quick, and nothing happened. I'm like, ah. And then I look down at my feet again, and I'm right in front of the door, and the light's beaming from underneath of it, but the water's flowing over my feet, going underneath the door. So I'm splashing my feet, lifting it up, splashing it. And so I reach over and I open up the door, just turn the door handle, and the door just opens, and Lord Jesus is just hovering. And just, I mean, because when I opened up the door, remember I told you this bright light was beaming, and that's what I thought was a lamp. But when the door opened, it was so bright that I was like, I mean, it was like, I can't see. And then all of a sudden I start, it's like going from a dark room into a bright light, right? Your eyes have to adjust. But it didn't take my eyes very long to adjust. I was like, oh. Because when he was hovering there, I was like, hey. When he was hovering there, he had these like beams. You know how when you look at the sun, it has these beams that come down at the end of them, are like these rainbow colors that are like, you can see these rainbow colors at the tips of them. They look like fiber optics or whatever. But anyway, he's just hovering there, and he's got all these beams coming off him in every which direction. These little rainbows, and I'm just all fascinated about that. I'm like, wow. And then he points. He reaches. He pulls his arm out, and he points behind me. And I turned around and I looked, and that wall that I told you where the water was coming down, where the bathtub is, all of a sudden this big circle opens up, this hole opens up, and there's the waterfalls coming over the circle now, and on both sides. And I look down in there, and you can see like another world. Tropics, you can see these pretty plants. You can see it right through the waterfall too. And I turned around. He turned around real quick. I go, how'd you do that? And then I woke up. So that was a dream before I was at his feet in October. So that was in May, and then 2020. And then October 2020, I was at his brass feet. And that's when I told you in my video, I was like, comparing my left leg to his left leg. And I'm putting my foot right next to his foot. And then I'm like, oh, I want to touch his foot. And about reaching down to touch his foot, and I'm like, oh, he's right behind me, because I'm sitting right between his legs, and I'm like, so I can only imagine what he was thinking the whole time watching me. If you think about it, which I didn't feel, any negative about it, because what I felt was love. It was just all beautiful love. And then when he stood me up from my rib cage, to look at what Archangel Gabriel was posting on all these video screens, and I get up there and I see a couple of pictures that look familiar, and I go, that looks like my notes. And then I turn around, these are my notes. So again, could you imagine, and I'm not even really focusing on God right now. I'm focusing on the, Archangel Gabriel and Michael, what they're showing me and stuff. And watching Michael with the book open, this black book open, just looking at me. I can only imagine they're just probably like, he's just going to freak out. But yeah, I kind of did. But I'll tell you one thing, I will never, ever, ever forget those moments. And that's why I think that, everything in our life, I think, is scripted. And then when we realize and discover them, it just gets really exciting, and you want to share it with people because you want to make them excited. You want them to seek out God. You want them to have that feeling, that sense, I really do. I really do want everybody to, while you're in the flesh, while you're here and alive, to be able to have God touch you while you're actually in living flesh, compared to being in spirit already. Because I'm sure the effects are going to be different. Because, like I've said, in my body, my physical clay body, how it responded to, in my vision, when God was touching me and how my body reacted from this end. So not only did I react from the realm that I was with God and my spirit level, but my body was reacting it out on this level. So through its senses and its motions. So that's another thing too. I think that's very important that we got to discuss is our senses are very important for our journey. Bye, guys.